You look like
Oh,
grandma got it
nice.
going on.
Oh, what? No, don't tell
Yes,
me
very, very cute.
that. Thank you.
Very cute. I love it.
Thank you.
Love, love, love. And we are live.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
my goodness. Okay. So let me go ahead and share on my personal page. My people are joining in. Hey, y'all. This is going to be good. Hey, hey, hey. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. I see y'all coming in. Thank you all for joining. Listen, y'all know how we have to do. I got to share to my personal page because for some reason, people don't go over to the business page. So we're going to meet them where they are. I have no problem with that. Okay. Got that going. Okay. Hey, 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 hey. I see you all coming in. I'm going to do a watch party. Now, see, this is the part I don't like about Facebook. Sometimes it want to be acting right. Sometimes it don't. Like with the watch party, I have no
Mhm.
idea on why it does that. But we just going to keep it moving. Go and keep the party started. Okay, hey you guys, thank you for joining. I am excited to have our guest on today. This is actually a topic that a lot of people ask about. Those that are entrepreneurs, those that are just wanting to build something for themselves, personal credit, as well as business credit. This is the person you want to get to know. Her name is Moncy Hawkins, and I'm so excited to actually have her on. I'm going to give her the opportunity to tell a little bit more about herself and about her business. Hey, Moncy!
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me here tonight to share on your platform. I'm most grateful for the opportunity. As you stated,
Yes.
I am Moncy Hawkins, and I am the founder and CEO of Fig Restoration. It is a credit consulting company that helps those that suffer with less than perfect credit profiles in order to help them reach their credit goals. And so that's what I do all day, every day. I love it. I was in corporate America for about 20 years, finance and accounting, and I resigned a couple years, 5 years ago, and just wanted to do something I loved. I did not like being in corporate, but it paid the bills, very well. So now I'm just enjoying life, helping people because at the end of the day, that's my God given purpose, and that's what I love doing.
That's what I'm talking about. I love that. So FIG restoration. Now I know FIG is an acronym, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
it
so let's
is.
share with them what the acronym means.
Okay, FIG stands for faith in God.
Come on.
And yes, that's what it means because that's what my life has been about, having faith. And then the restoration comes in. Fig restoration is because he has truly restored my life. I've seen him restore so many individuals' lives. And as long as we live and life keep happening, we have to understand that there is always restoration available to all of us.
Right.
If we seek it and if we want it. So that's the whole thing behind Fig. So it's no playing games when you contact Fig. We're gonna do it the right way, and it's all about life and living and going higher.
I love, love, love that. And I love that you're starting off with stating, okay, y'all want to know what it really is? This is the
Mm-hmm.
foundation here. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have faith in God. We really don't have anything. And that's how you actually restore and being able to start building what we call credit and
Mm-hmm.
financial freedom. So when we
Right.
think about financial freedom, Could you tell me, like, just give, what does that mean? What does that look like for people?
Financial freedom is, being able to have everything that you need to create the lifestyle that you want. Being, and simple, breaking it down is being able to pay your bills, living within your means, number one, because a lot of us, we end up in these bad situations because oftentimes we do. We live, beyond our means. It's having that respect for money and utilizing it the way that it should be, using discipline, so all of those things work together to have true financial freedom.
I love that you said that, like understanding and having the respect for money, because I feel like a lot of people don't really know what that actually looks like, or we're not educated, and we learn as we get older, and sometimes that can play like against us versus for us, because when we think about other cultures, their parents are actually helping them build their credit and build financial freedom before they even get out of the house. So I want to be able to dive into that because I feel like it's something that's so needed for us, especially in our community. Right. So when we think about that, what would you say is the most important reason on why we should build it?
Well, like I said in the beginning, is to live the life that you want. And also not just for present day, but even the generations to come behind us. And as you stated, we come from homes where we didn't have silver spoons handed to us or placed in our mouths. We had to really work. Several people have heard this story about me. Is I found out that I had bad credit when my mom died at the age of 18. And so at that point, I had to begin living my life. I needed a place to stay. And so not having that information, I had to go out and learn and teach myself so that I could live, so that I wouldn't be homeless, so that I could have a comfortable place, right? And so the thing is, when it comes to financial freedom, we have to really want it. Yeah. We can't make excuses about, well, this is how my family lived. We've always struggled. We didn't. No. It can stop with you. Just because you come from that does not mean that it has to continue. I don't want my children or my friends or my business associates or anyone to have to suffer if they don't have to. Yeah. It's all about the knowledge and the education. You can bring a person to the well, but you can't make them drink, right?
Come on.
And I would hope that I could lead everybody that I lead. I want you to drink because I want you to be prosperous. I want you to have good life. We are not meant to live these sad lives, in despair. We are supposed to live a good life. And that's what it starts with, your mindset, making the decision to want to go higher, to want to do better. And guess what? Sometimes that means removing ourselves from around those things and those people and those places that causes us to stay stuck. And sometimes that's really hard to do. It's really hard to do. And sometimes you'll get criticized when you decide to go to that next level. But guess what? What God has for you is for you. It does not matter what anybody or anyone says. Focus on those things that are already in your future and that God has already ordained for your life.
Listen, I can't sit still. Okay, she's starting real strong, y'all. She ain't even giving. Listen, she pressed on the gas and said she about to let y'all have it. You better get it together. Let me read some of these comments already posted and talk about amen. Makiba says, if we can learn to respect the power of love, we should learn to respect the power of money. Yes, she quoting you. Yes. Hey, Markeisha. Hey, Dolores. Hey, Ladrika. I see all of y'all just saying, hey, I know she's starting strong, y'all, but this is going to be good. I told you. Go ahead and share with somebody. Okay. Let's dive right back into it. That was so good. And, to hear that your story started with you finding out that you actually didn't have good credit once your mother died. And you were young. You were 18 years old. And, you were like, okay, so now what am I going to do? Because I still need to live. Mom's not here anymore. I still need to live. And I feel like, honestly, when I think about, for me, I have a son, you have family, and we want to change that for our family going forward. Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what's one of the things that we can do now to help our children prior to them turning 18 and figuring it all out?
Oh, there are so many things that we can do, and we can't be afraid to do it. So one of the things is I first start off my children. My son is six, my oldest is 23, and I've been teaching her from the beginning, of how to properly use money. The first thing, and my son is 16, and I also have a 13-year-old. My son is 16 now, and he has a job. I tell all my kids, number one, these are my principles. Whatever you make, you're going to pay your tithes, first off. And the reason why I believe that is because those are biblical principles and because I have used that in my own life.
Yeah.
There have been times when I don't know how I had no money and my bills were still getting paid. But even though I didn't have money, whatever came into this household, I made sure that I paid those tithes and God provided, right?
Yeah.
So I teach my children that. The second thing is going back to respecting money. They have to have a budget. I make them, when they get their money, they have to put money to the side into a savings. So not only do they have to put 10% into their tithes, but I also make them put a percentage into their savings account. And then whatever you have left, that's what you can do. Don't come asking mother for money if you have spent up yours, because this is where your budget comes in. This is where your good financial habits come in. If you spend up all of your money, too bad, so sad, and you cannot go into that savings account. So that's one of the things. And it's, sometimes with parents, they kind of tug on our heart and we're like, oh, I know you want this. Not me. I make them do the right thing. I'm sorry. Because it's too hard. It's too hard. And besides, we give them, pretty much everything that they need anyway.
Right.
So the least I can do is hold them accountable when it comes to them making their own money.
I love
having
that.
bank accounts and all of that. So yeah, those are just some basic, simple things that we can begin to do with our own children.
I love that. I love that. Like, so people know my son is 3 years old. My son got more money in the bank than what I had seen, especially during that time frame and for a very long time. But I remember I would always talk to him about, like, if we go to the store and he say he wants something, I'm like, do you have your money? And here he go. Yes. Where is it? In my bank. Oh, okay. Long as you know that's where it's at.
He's like my kids. They always forget to bring their wallet. And I'm like, well, you're going to forget to get this thing that you want in the store today. And next time we come to the store, you are going to bring your money. I am the strict disciplinarian. My husband on the other end, he is, he's not so much. They can get by and get over with whatever. But me, we have to have that balance. We have to have the balance in the household, right?
Yeah.
So,
Hey, Candy, I see you there. Hey, Alan, I was about to tell a story about you. That's my brother-in-law. My sister is like that. She does really great with being able to teach her children how to actually be responsible with their money, and I will never forget when I went to visit them in Georgia and we went to a store. My niece has a puppy. Well, dog, and she wanted to get some things, and she was just picking up all this stuff for what she was going to buy. And my sister politely paid for it, and then she gave her the receipt. Okay, go get my $38.33. My niece was like,
right.
Wait, if I was paying for it, I would have actually bought it from the dollar store. Oh, you would have bought it from the dollar store with your money, but because I was paying for it, you want to get it over here. And I will never forget that story because I felt like it was such a great lesson. And it also made me realize how my niece understands, her money. And she's going to make sure, okay, well, if I'm spending it, okay, so this is what she's going to get today. My dog is going to get today and what, we're going to save for later. So I love that you talk about that, being able to teach your kids how to have a savings now and not going into the savings. That's completely different from your spending money, and knowing how to make sure that they tithe.
Right.
Tithe first.
We have to give them that advantage. We have to, because, our children are... they have to have an advantage going into the world, and so when we create the standard at the beginning, it just makes life just a little bit easier. I'm not saying that their life is going to be all peachy and roses, but at least if they don't have that burden of the struggles when it comes to good financial habits, at least we can give them that stepping stone. And I want to make sure that my children have as many stepping stones as possible.
Yes. I completely agree with you 100%. I remember my mom was saying, I didn't know Creed knew what a quarter was. I said, girl, if Creed don't know nothing, he know money. He know you gonna give me $1, you gonna give me a quarter. Like, like
Right.
he knows the difference because he
Right.
likes to put money in his bank. So,
Right.
but that's where it starts. You have to start them young and teaching them how to
Mhm.
understand money. Let me see. Oh, hey, they said Moncy. She put a lot of
Hello,
Y's just so
Day.
you know.
Hi, everybody. I can't see
Yes.
comments. It's hard for me to multitask with all
Yes,
this,
I got it on here.
so
I got you. Makiba says, that's right. They'll follow the structure down the line. Absolutely. Marissa, hey, Marissa. Marissa says, financial literacy begins as soon as they learn to count. Train them
yeah,
adding and subtracting with money.
yeah,
Abso-freaking-lutely.
yes,
Abso-freaking-lutely.
yes.
100% agree. Hey, Cindy. Hey, y'all. I see all of y'all. Okay, so now let's dive into what's one of the first steps that someone can do to actually build their credit.
So the first thing is make sure you're checking your credit. That's the first. That's
Mm.
always the first step. You will be surprised at how many people do not even know what's on their credit reports, or they wait until they need something to find out that, oh wow,
Mm.
I'm in a bad place. So number one, check your credit reports. But number two, the quickest, well, the best way to start increasing your score, it has the greatest impact on your credit score, is your payment history. Pay your bills on
On
time is
time.
35% of your score. Pay it on time. I see people who, and sometimes people, they just don't know. Or sometimes it's just like, well, I had something else that was more important to do. But when we sit down and we weigh it, because I have these conversations with my clients, when we sit down and weigh what you thought was more important,
It's
and
really
the
not.
weight that it actually caused your credit score to have, which was negative, then you begin to see what becomes more important. So
Right.
paying your bills on time every single month. Do not skip it. One late payment can drop you up to 100 points. So
Ooh.
definitely pay your bills on time.
I love, love, love that you said that because that's one of the things that we talk about all the time, my sister and I, because, we weren't given this advantage previously.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't given this
Mm-hmm.
advantage. We weren't given, understanding the importance of paying bills on time the right way. We saw the negative
Right.
and we wanted to change it. We were like, okay, so what
Right.
we're not going to have happen is somebody come take my stuff.
Right.
So therefore,
Right.
I'll make sure I pay my
Right.
bills.
Yeah.
And that was one of the ways on how we were able to learn because we saw something that didn't benefit us and we wanted to change that. And I believe
Mm-hmm.
that it's so important for us all to actually whether it's good or bad, you guys, from when you were younger and you're growing up and see things, there's a lesson in it all, and it's up to you of what you want to do with that. If you want to say, okay, I saw what my grandmother did here with her finances, so I want to make sure I follow that, or I saw what she did and it did not benefit her properly, so I want to make sure I
Right.
don't do that.
Right.
But like you said,
Right.
pay your bills on time every single month. Do not miss a month.
Mm-hmm.
Love, love, love. That is so great. And
Mm-hmm.
actually checking your score. You are so
Mm-hmm.
right. So many people just don't even know what their score is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, let
Right.
me see what people are saying. When people are typing, I have to make sure I read it because sometimes
Okay.
I forget. We have to give our children, black and brown kids, every advantage. That means teach them early. Yes, Marissa. Makiba says, what is the message in the screen? What message are you seeing, Makiba? Because I don't see a message.
I don't know.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I answer. Okay, so then now that we've talked about like the number one thing to do in order to build your personal credit, like the first thing that you should do, which is checking your credit score to know where you are, and then number two, following it up by making sure you paying your bills. That's a simple thing, on time every month.
Right.
Um, I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs on here. And the
Mm-hmm.
conversation about building business credit is one topic that's always something that's revolving and people wanting to know more. So number one, do you have to have good personal credit in order to have good business credit?
You need to have good personal credit. I work with, my niche is future home buyers, entrepreneurs, and professionals. So those are the client base that I deal with on an everyday basis. And one of the things that a lot of small of these entrepreneurs and small business owners, they are coming to me because they're trying to get funding. And when you are new or when your company is not as established financially, when those profits aren't showing the right numbers that they need to be showing, then of course you're going to have to use your personal credit as a guarantee, as a personal guarantee. And so that means you need to get your credit up so that way the banks will trust you enough to give you all of this money that you are requesting. And so, but it just makes sense. I mean, get your household right, get you so that you can get business credit. Now you have doubled your borrowing power. But sometimes people, we get into a rush and we don't want to wait and we want to skip steps. And then we start to do, let me put a pin there. Building business credit can be done by anyone. But what I want to warn individuals about is, as with personal credit, it takes credit in order to build credit, right? We have to go into a certain amount of debt. But I'm seeing a lot of people that's just taking advice from everywhere and they're trying to build all of this credit in their business name, but they're overwhelming their company. They don't have enough money coming in to sustain all of the debt that they're trying to bring on. So in a sense, now it's starting to hurt them. You're starting to get behind because you don't have the amount of money. There's a safe and effective way to build both personal and business credit. But yes, you do need to increase your own personal credit scores so that you can leverage that to get the money that you need for your business.
Okay, and what would be that safe way? What's the number one way in order to build your business credit? Say, okay, yes, we have our personal credit in order. So then what's that number one thing that they need to do in order to build their business credit?
So like I said, make sure that all of your financials are in order because they're going to look at that. One of the things is you need to make sure that when it comes to business credit, that your digital footprint is correct. Make sure your business is set up correctly because these banks and the lenders, they're going to be looking at all of that. They're going to be looking at, what your website is. Do you have a facility? Do you have a bank account? Do you actually have a real company? People are making fly-by-night companies, right? So again, they're going to be looking at your financials. Then the next thing is when you start to build credit, start with those simple accounts, the revolving accounts. Then you move on to, the vendor accounts, the revolving accounts. You just keep going up into those different accounts in order to build. And there is a process. I don't want to get too deeply involved on here because I don't want to confuse anybody, but there is a certain way to build business credit properly. And if you don't build it properly, you will find yourself in a worse situation than you were before.
I'm happy you said that. And you actually teach those classes. So can you tell them, before we go back into, answering some more questions, could you tell them where they can find it and how often you actually do classes? How often is it? Or would you prefer them to hire you as a consultant?
So it's dependent. So if you want one-on-one, then of course they can hire me to teach them, one-on-one. I'm always partnering with different organizations to teach classes. And so I'll always put out, if ever I have a class coming up, you're going to see it on all my social media platforms. You're going to see it on my websites. Coming up in December, I have partnered up with the Women's Business Center, WBEA. I'm sure many of you have heard of that. And so we're going to have our first class on December the 3rd. And this is, entrepreneurs. So any of those entrepreneurs that are looking for that, you'll see the notifications come out and it's going to be open to the public. And so going forward, every other month, I'll be doing classes with them. Just stay tuned because you'll see some other organizations that I partner with as of late, and we're just going to be rolling those classes out because I wanted to go back to the basics, to the basics, the foundation of credit education. I have been fortunate enough to have a company that's prospered and to be able to help a lot of people. But sometimes I'm reminded that I'm leaving a large group of individuals out because everybody cannot afford to go through the program. But just because they cannot afford to go through my program does not mean that they should be denied this education. So when you see those free education classes come up, get in on them. Yeah. Because if you call me, it's going to be a charge. It's going to be a price.
Right.
So get on there. There is nothing stopping you from doing that. And I just welcome everybody to come to those classes because I'm not one to hold back. I'm going to give you everything when you come to those classes because what I don't like is how you'll sign up for workshops and seminars and they give you these teasers.
The fluff.
They want you to purchase something else. When you come to my course, you are getting it all. And the reason why is because I put myself in that situation. When I really needed the help, I couldn't find the help.
Yeah.
And I had to go seek the help. So if you're willing to seek the help and show up, I'm giving you everything. I'm going to give you everything.
Listen, she ain't lying, y'all, because I remember when we were doing the brunch together at the beginning of the year, and I was like, I couldn't write fast enough. I was like, wait, hold. Cause she was giving some good stuff at the brunch that we did with Day. Actually, Day is on here. So she definitely does give you all of it, because, and I can tell that it's a passion of yours and you truly want to help people succeed financially. So I love, love, love that. And I'm just, co-signing. That's all I'm doing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, if someone's on here and they may say, I messed up my credit, I'm not starting from the beginning. I actually need to restart. What's the one thing that they can do that can help them get out of that part?
Can you repeat that? You kind of froze up just a little bit when you.
Oh, okay, no worries. So for those that may have bad credit right now, so they're not starting from the bottom, but they have to restart. What advice would you give them in order to actually get back on track and being able to build their credit?
Okay, just know that it is never too late to rebuild. I have had to rebuild my credit about 3 or 4 times because life happened. Sometimes life comes at us so fast, but the first thing that I would say is face the problem. A lot of people do not even begin to rebuild because they're so overwhelmed. When your finances start to get jacked up and your credit starts to get bad, you don't want to look at your credit score. Yeah. You don't want to look at it. But we have to face our fears. We have to face those things that have been designed to cause us to halt. And so that's the first thing. Take a look at your credit report. Have some an accountability partner. If you may, sometimes it helps when you have someone to take you by the hand or say, hey, I got you while you're going through this process. The rebuilding process is hard. It gets to be hard. And if you don't have the right person or the right team in your corner, it just makes it that much harder. But when it comes to rebuilding is, like I said, identify the issue, what caused you to be in this situation in the first place. Once you determine that, take a look at that credit report. If you need to, rebuild with credit cards. And so this is the thing. Every healthy credit profile is going to have a certain amount of revolving accounts, which are just simply credit cards, or maybe a revolving line of credit. Or, and they're going to have installment accounts. Installment accounts are, auto loans, leases, student loans, things of that nature. Anything that you purchase for one amount and you pay it down in monthly installments. So you need to have a certain amount of accounts. So that's the first thing. See if you have the right accounts. If you know that you don't have any credit cards, or if you have just messed up your credit cards and you're trying to rebuild, you need to start with a secured card. Put a deposit down on a card, get the new card, and start rebuilding, but do it the right way this time. Only spend what you can afford to pay back every single month, and then pay it on time. So that's going to be one of the first steps. Is if you need to rebuild, get a secured card. Everyone has different starting points. So I would say, get with the credit restoration company, preferably me. Let's do a consultation and see exactly. And you know what I want to say with my consultations, sometimes, individuals, they'll call me and they're like, my score is so low. I have a 500, I have a, low 6 or whatever, and I just need credit repair. But after we go through that consultation, about 30% of individuals walk away not even needing credit repair. Because when I look at their credit profiles, I'm like, yes, you do have a low score, but you have a thin credit profile. Maybe you just need to rebuild. Maybe you just need to pay your bills on time. Maybe you just need to pay your credit cards down. And those are things that I can identify. And so I'll say, hey, guess what? You don't need credit restoration today. Follow these tips and go on your way and build your credit score. And that is such a relief to know that you don't have to have a full credit restoration program. You can just get the tips that you need and start to rebuild. So don't be afraid to ask a professional, hey, exactly where I am. Even if you don't sign up with a service, at least find out exactly where you are so that you can begin to rebuild the correct way. Because sometimes when we just jump out there and start doing things ourselves, we end up setting ourselves back even more. And sometimes when we listen to cousin over here and Amy over here who really don't know what they're talking about, or what they may have done may be something totally than what you need to do, because everybody's credit report
It's
and
different.
profile is unique to your own personal situation and your own financial stability.
Hmm.
So just do it the right way from the beginning.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And
Mhm.
I love that you are, you're so transparent, like letting people know, listen, I had to rebuild before too,
Oh yeah.
multiple times.
Oh
And
yeah.
letting people know that it's something, it's called life. It's not
Yep.
about what happened, but what you're going to do going forward. That's really what it
Hmm.
is. And take the right steps so
Hmm.
you can get out of that hole. Makiba said,
Right.
can you tell I'm a feed client? Yes, I can, because she giving all the steps on here. She talking about pay your bills on time, learn your true billing cycles, and the date the institution reports to the credit bureau. I'm so happy
That's
you said
right.
that, Makiba, because that was something that actually helped me. So even
Hmm.
though my credit billing cycle, like it said that my bill was due on the 10th, they report the
On a different
credit
date.
on the 5th.
Yes, sir.
So I'm
Yeah.
not paying on the 10th. I'm actually paying
Right.
on the 4th, because
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I actually get in there when they're reporting, because it makes a
Yes.
huge difference. That
Right.
was something that I
Right.
learned, y'all. Just sharing that.
Oh,
Marissa
see, and
says
that's
she's
good because
dropping
that's
gold.
so important. That's so important.
Yes, yes, yes. They are loving this. They are loving this. If you have a question, go ahead and type it in there. If there's something specific that you would like Moncy to answer, because I mean, she has been given loads of gems this entire time. But I want to make sure if you have a question that hasn't been answered, you can go ahead and ask her at this moment. So, Monty, I love everything that you said. I feel like, there are a lot of people on here that's walking away with some things that they can do immediately that's going to make changes within for their personal credit, for their business credit, for, their family, children that are not 18 yet. I feel like it's just a ton of stuff. We can just package this
Hmm.
all up and
Hmm.
put it in a gift form. That's what's happening on here. One of the things that I like to do is give anyone that I interview the opportunity to ask me a question. It can be about anything. It can be about what we're talking about, whatever you like. Do you have a
Okay.
question you would like to ask me while they
I
are typing
do.
their questions? Yes, go
I
ahead.
do have a question for you. So my question is to you is, why do you take the time out of your evening to have this platform, and do it for free and just, help all of these people? What drives you? What makes you
Mm.
do that?
Listen, I swear that's probably like the number one question. People are like, why do you,
Oh,
girl?
really?
But yes, it is. But honestly, I tell people all the time, I'm really big about moving in the season that God has you in.
Hmm.
When you don't move when He has told you to, there are so
Hmm.
many things that you can miss. And I have been on that end. I am
Hmm.
so transparent with my story. I will let you know where I have failed, where
Hmm.
I was not obedient based on something that He told me to do. So this was not a plan of mine saying I'm going to start doing. No, it was really a God idea. He told me to do it. I was doing the teen talk during the summer, and women were messaging me, when are you going to do something for us?
Right.
Everyone knows I do everything with teen girls, and I was like, sure. And it's not the first time. I've had people ask before, like the moms always ask, when you going to do something for us? We need what you're giving to our
Hmm.
girls. And
Hmm.
so I was like, God, this is what you want me to do? Okay, well, I'll do it. And that's really the reason. My why is about enriching other people's lives so they can live their very best life. If I
Right.
see you thriving, I feel great. If I see you thriving based on, it can be a small piece of advice that I've
Hmm.
shared, I know that I have done what God has called me to do, because there's enough for us all to win.
Hmm.
And when we try to keep the knowledge that we've been blessed with, when we try to, not share that because we're afraid of, what someone may do with it, or, someone else is charging or whatever, like what you're truly saying is that you don't trust God enough to actually provide for you the way He said He
Hmm.
will. So for me, and what I choose to do in my house is to make sure I be obedient. When He told me to start, I started. Why I started? Because He told me to. And people keep asking for it, so it'll continue until He tells me to stop.
I love that. I love that. And I can relate because you know what? That's amazing. And I'm glad that you're obedient like that because I'm hard headed. I'm real hard headed. I'm the one that God then said, girl, you need to do this. And I'm like, oh God, let me tell you something. When I start Big Restoration, I'm like, I'm going to help everybody repair their credit, but I'm just going to do it behind the scenes. I just want people to sign up and just let me work. And then I started getting these calls and say, hey, can you come educate on credit? And I think I did it one time in some little small, it was really, really small. And I was just so nervous. But anyway, I went. And I was like, oh, I'm never doing that again. That's too much. I'm a private person. Naturally, I'm a private person. I really am. And I just like to stay in my own corner, mind my own business, and help people from that perspective, right? But God was like, that's not what I told you to do. One day I was studying and I'm like, God, why has my life been so hard? Why did I have to go through all of these things? God has blessed me with a good life, I'll say that. But I had to go through some really hardships, right? And I'm like, God, why did you allow me to go through this? And he's like, because I have people that I need for you to help. There are people that I need for you to do. And I'm like, but I'm private. And I don't need those people in my business. I don't need them knowing anything. I don't want to do that. And he's like, girl, get out there. Yeah, girl, get out there and go do what I told you to do. And so I didn't. And this is a really real conversation. I didn't. I was not obedient. And God started allowing me to have crash after crash after crash. Everything just started going downhill until I stopped and I said, you know what? Okay, I'm going to answer the call and I'm going to be obedient. And when I did that, it's just every platform. He has put me in front of so many platforms. And this is not to brag, but this is just to tell you how good God is and what he will do when you decide to align your life with him. I have never once asked to be on anybody's platform. I don't even know how to go the proper channels. I think you're supposed to have speaking sheets and all this. I don't have none of it, right?
Yeah.
It's just, he places this because he says, there are people that I need for you to bless. And I allowed you to go through all of those things. So that way, when these individuals come to you, you will know how to relate to them.
Yeah.
I feel every emotion. When people call me and they have these hard burdens from financial hardships, I know exactly what that looks like because I've been there.
Yeah.
And it's a respect thing for them and for me to have empathy and compassion so that I can help them through the program. So when you call me, I'm going to hold you accountable. We're going to walk this thing out. I will cancel you from my program, though, if your mind is not right and you're really not serious, because there are too many people that I'm supposed to bless, and you cannot take their spot.
Come on.
Try and block them from getting their blessing. So that's why it's so important to me, man. We have to win this battle. We cannot continue to be the slaves. We cannot be a slave to the lenders. We should not be that, and so that's just what it's all about for me. And I'm so glad that you answered the call to create this platform and make a way for individuals like myself and many others that I watched on your previous shows, because you have had some amazing people, and I know that individuals have truly been blessed by what you're doing.
And I appreciate that. And it's comments like that. And when people come into my DM and say, hey, I was watching, I didn't even know they followed me, and this really blessed me. And I'd be like, as long as, listen, I'm one of them people. If it blessed one, I've done my job.
Right.
It's not about, I love people. No, I have a big personality. I love to talk. I can talk to people. I talk to a tree and hold a full conversation and be happy about it. That's just who I am. But, no matter the amount of people, whether it's 1 or 1,000, long as I'm doing what he's told me to do, I'm good.
Right.
And if you got something from it, I'm good with that too. Let me see. Someone put a question. Okay. So Marissa says, is it helping me build my credit by having a credit card with a high limit that I keep a zero balance? Like I buy gas or something one time a month and pay it off immediately. Is that effective to help build my credit, or should I do something else too?
Well, as long as you're keeping your balances low, that's what's important. And yes, you can use it. Just make sure you pay it down. This is what I'm saying. When you get ready, if you are trying to build and really increase your scores the quickest way, then don't pay it down to zero every month. Pay it down to 1%. Leave just a little small balance on there, and that'll help to really maximize and increase your scores. Now, there may be some other things that you can do, but because I don't have your credit report in front of me, I don't want to say do this and that, because I don't know what's exactly on your credit report. But yes, using that credit card and paying that balance down every single month is definitely going to help you keep your utilization low, which causes your scores to increase.
Yes, 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 yes. Let me see. Ladrika said, girl, y'all are all up in my line and all up on my toes tonight.
Well, that's good. That's what we like, because that's when change starts. And you know, sometimes we have to face the ugly truths. You know, I had to face some ugly truths in the past 2 weeks, and it hurts. But guess what? After I faced it and I dealt with it, I come out brand new like gold. Y'all see I'm shining up here, right?
Yes.
You know, that's what happens, you know, but that's what happens. We get to go to those next level. We get to shine bright. We get to have that good life when we decide to make those right choices.
Yes. Makiba says that's the meat and the potatoes to this faith walk. You right about it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay. So we're coming to wrap up. If you have any other questions, make sure you put them in there. I'm going to give Monty her opportunity to share her scripture. You know, I love for people to end with sharing their scripture on what we're talking about. So, Moncy, what scripture do you stand on when it comes to building financial freedom?
So because I deal with finances every day, and you know, everybody have just a different mindset of what financial freedom is and what wealth is. For me, I judge my wealth and my financial freedom off biblical principles, right? So if there's not a certain dollar amount, my whole financial freedom is being wealthy in God's eyesight, making sure, you know, that I have enough to survive. And there's always overflow whenever we do have financial freedom, right? So one of my favorite scriptures is Ecclesiastes 5:10, and it says, whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. I don't chase after money.
Come on.
I don't grind all day and all night. I get my rest, right? But when I go for it, I always ask God to multiply what I have, and that when He does bless me with the money, let me be able to use it in the capacity that He wants me to. And when He does that, we will continue to have overflow. For the love of money, that's when we start, you know, thinking that the grass is greener on the other side, or we start living like thinking, you know, trying to keep up with the Joneses. And we end up chasing these things that just are not. That's not going to build up heavenly treasures for us, right? These are things that's just going to waste. And that's what this American society is all about. It's just chasing after all of these material things, right? But when we really, truly understand the purpose of money and not loving it, then that's when we begin to have that prosperous life. And making sure that we don't idolize it. When we idolize it, that's when we get into trouble.
A problem.
That's when we never, ever, 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 ever have enough. And we're continuously chasing every day. That's insanity. That's insanity. Ask God to bless every seed that come in your hand. And don't be afraid to give too. You know, don't be afraid to plant those seeds, because that's when that overflow really does start to happen.
Oh, you right about that. I tell people that was one of my life lessons leading up to 40. Yeah. Give big. I believe in giving big. And, you know, it's not just finances, but giving from your heart, your soul, your time, like these different things. Yeah. Everything, your knowledge, like this Queen Talk. Give big. Just saying, hashtag. But, you know, like, it's so important for us to do that. I love that. Ecclesiastes 5:2. That was so great. Hey, Rosalind, I see you, girl. That was so great. I really, really, really appreciate that. And I love that you touched on that, because, you know, even throughout my life, I've been able to see when you're chasing the dollar, you don't never have enough. It's never enough. But oh my goodness, the peace that it brings when it's not about that, but it's about resting in God and understanding what it is that He has for you, and what He has for you is for you. Nobody else can take it. And it's going to come.
That's right.
And that's when you start to see that overflow greater than what you've ever experienced before. So I love that you said that, Moncy. This has been such a blessing. You all, if y'all need some more information, y'all see her website is right below her, figrestoration.com. It's the same on Instagram. You can follow her there. She drops lots of gems on Instagram, y'all. If y'all not following her, go ahead. Because I'd be like, ooh, okay, write this one down, you know. But Monty, it has definitely been great. I do believe that it's so important that, you know, when you are looking for someone to be able to help you build correctly, which is God's way. You want to link up with people who's about God's business, who's about the kingdom business, because that's what's going to get you there. And she's definitely that person. So I just want to say I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on. You always bless my soul because you have such great information. And I'm so happy that I see a lot of people are feeling the same way. Makiba says her scripture is Joshua 1:8. That's a good one too, Makiba. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you all so much. Y'all have an amazing night. Come back next.
Thank you.
Let me see. Who do I have? Oh, LaShonda Pierce will be on next week. So come back and find out more about how to live a passionate and purposeful life on next Thursday. Every Thursday, 7 p.m. until God tells me otherwise. Y'all have a great night. Bye.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Oh my God.